We've got Anurag Kataria, President NRAI, now joining in. Anurag, good to have you on board. Avan this side. Just wanted to understand what the impact is, given that there has been a phenomenal rise in the price of spices as well as vegetables on the industry as a whole. Do you think you will have to resort to a menu price hike?
So first of all, thank you for having me here. No, in the immediate terms, I don't see any price revision in the organized sector. Simple reason being that we all have annual rate contracts for our supplies and they hold good. But however, having said that, if this buoyancy in the prices, they keep going for a little longer period, say a month or so, I'm sure the supplier are going to come back and renegotiate because it will become unviable for them after a while. And in such a case, of course, I mean, if we have to absorb higher costs, then if the input cost is going to go up, we will definitely be compelled to hike the prices. But for now, I don't see that as a problem under the current circumstances. It's still very early days.
Fair enough. But do you think that, in your experience, that this kind of a price spike that we're seeing, especially at a time of this monsoon, is just perhaps seasonal in nature, that prices will come off in the next, say, few weeks?
I do hope so, because we have seen these kind of trends year on year. Every year, one commodity price will suddenly go up. You had onion issues once, you had dhania patta issue once, now you have tomato. I think these are seasonal vagaries because, our agriculture is still very dependent on the rains, and any fluctuation in that causes this. I would like to believe it's a short-term problem and it will get resolved ultimately. And these things will continue to happen, if you ask me honestly. Every year, something or the other will go up. But as long as it's temporary, it's only because of an extraordinary factor, I don't see much of a worry there.
Right. But the problem, I guess, Anurag, purely from a consumer point of view is, restaurants already have taken massive price hikes in the last 12 months, and none of it ever gets rolled back, right? There's always, like you mentioned, some or the other commodity which is leading to the inflation in food prices, and that continues to weigh in on, the businesses as well. For instance, we saw the latest data coming in from Zomato. And it's quite intriguing that the average ticket prices or average order value of orders is just about 250 rupees or so. So I guess that is where consumers get a little bit more conscious, right? And in the overall scheme of things, that's going to weigh heavy on the restaurant businesses as well.
So first of all, I don't see that the price hike has been quite substantial over 1 year. There had been a few things. I think if my memory serves me right, two factors were huge. One was the oil price increase, and second was a temporary hike in the gasoline prices. And that is where we had increased the prices a bit. But beyond that, nothing. As far as average order value goes, that is more than the price. I think it's also about conversion. If you're ordering for more people, and I don't know if from what I recollect, the average order value of Zomato was $4.50 when I saw last. Maybe it has come down. I don't know what is the issue, but that's more to do with the eating patterns and the consumption patterns than the price really.
My next question is again back to the theme, what's happening to spices, what's happening to tomato prices. So next time when I go to a restaurant, should I not expect a makhani gravy? It'll be less tomato, it'll be more something else. I mean, it's getting to that restaurants will be forced to cut the corners?
No, not at all. Not at all. I think every restaurateur worth his salt knows if you compromise on your product quality, there is nothing left to save. I would rather cut my margins or hike my prices, but reduce my quality of the gravy. I think it's a temporary phenomenon. As I said earlier, most of the organized sector restaurants have annual rate contracts, so they are not directly impacted as of now. However, if these tomato prices keep to where they are for another month or so, I'm sure all our suppliers are going to come back and renegotiate. At that point of time, you may have a little bit of price hike, perhaps. But until then, I don't see your makhani gravy changing at all.
Anurag, it's been a rather tumultuous moment for the restaurant industry. First, it was vegetable inflation, then it was oil inflation, now spices inflation. At what point in time do you think the whole price hike versus acceptability, that equation will not adjust itself. Right now the consumer is happy to pay the price hike, and restaurants have been forced to take a price hike because raw material prices have gone higher. But there would be a point in time where inflation or the price hike will not be accepted.
No, you are right. But I think our consumers are very intelligent. And, whatever we use in the restaurant, they use it in their households every day. So they are fully aware of the inflationary pressures whenever it comes on a certain product or a product category, so to say. But you are right. At certain point of time, if things become very unviable, right now I don't see that. Overall inflation seems to be under control. It's only a few things that are hitting skyrocket. That should not really bother a customer. But if overall inflation goes to some crazy levels, as we are seeing in some other countries, then obviously there will be a drop in consumption, because there is only a certain amount of elasticity in what the consumer can pay. After a certain while, it becomes unviable for them. Either the frequency will go down of going out, or what they consume will reduce.
Is about the ONDC rollout. What has been your experience as president of NRAI in terms of the ONDC rollout?
Let me first correct, I'm not the president of NRAI anymore. I'm a trustee on the board of NRAI. I was the president. ONDC, I think, is a great new avenue. It's a great new avenue for online commerce. It is creating one more channel for the restaurants. I don't think it is going to be a challenge to the current aggregators, but it's in the immediate term. But it's an additional channel for e-commerce for restaurants at a very affordable price. And more than affordability, I think it is doing what every restaurant here, especially NRAI, has been asking for, which is to debundle the service, unbundle the service. And it is leaving lots of data with the restaurants, which is not the case with aggregators. So I think it's a step in the right direction, early steps. In fact, we are engaging with the ONDC very closely. I think we have another meeting lined up next week. I think on the 17th, if my memory serves me right, with the ONDC officials. So hopefully this is a step in the right direction, and it's firming up well.
Great to have you on the show. Thank you so much for taking the time out and speaking with us. Whether this spike that you're seeing in vegetable as well as spices, how is that likely to impact the restaurant industry?